welcome to Chop It Up for the last Tuesday in June, as we're about to head into the 4th of July weekend, which I don't know about you, but it snuck up on me. I was like, oh, dang, that is Monday, huh? Guess I got to go get my brisket. All right, so my name is Kevin, host of the podcast. As always, it's a great time here. I'm going to let the guys introduce themselves, and we'll jump into it today.
Just going to be honest. I need to make sure I'm hearing God's voice because I really thought he was going to be telling me to leave this hot place a long time ago. I'm waiting for the word, but hopefully I didn't miss it because it's been hot in Oklahoma, like Phoenix hot. Like he in the back telling me to turn the AC on hot. I mean, it's hot. So, but today has been all right. But I don't think I missed his voice. But God, if you're listening, I'm right here. Tell me when to go. I'm not going west though.
And your name, sir?
He already know my name. He know my name already.
But they don't know
He
your
know
name.
who I is.
Know your name.
He know
They
who
don't
I
know your
is.
name.
Oh, they don't know. It's right there on the screen. They can read. Try walking. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. If they can't read, we can set them up with some tutoring classes.
He knows my name. Oh, yes. Joining these brothers, Darian Lewis, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
My bad. That hit me some kind of hard. It literally just hit me out. I'm like, yeah, I need to move. Yeah, totally forgot to give my name. My bad, everybody.
All good.
Sorry about
It's
that.
all good. Listen, true story. We filling out passports information because if things kind of keep going the way they're going, we looking at Ghana, Nigeria. We
Yes,
looking
sir.
at other places that we can slide to. So
Sure,
sir.
I'll slide easy to the DR if I have to. I'm all right with that.
just make sure you land in the DR and not in Haiti.
And that where?
Haiti.
Oh, I ain't landing there.
Just make sure
If
your
I
plane don't
land
get
there,
get-
I'm
get
slinging
diverted.
oil on my way out the plane.
Oh, wow.
On everything. I'm gonna have two little super soakers, just like this, just oil all over the place. Praying for folks while I shoot it with the oil. That's it.
All right. So before we jump into our meaty
Too-
topic of
Too
today,
insensitive? Was that over the top? But just a little.
that's why we transitioning.
And we're walking.
And we're moving.
And we're walking.
And we're walking.
Oh,
All right, so before we get into our heavy duty topic of the day, I don't know if you guys saw, there's a video that I just saw yesterday, but it's floating around a lot on social media today, of a woman who says that she's going to expose the father of her son. And so basically, long story short, the father shows up with McDonald's for his son. The
Okay.
mother comes out with the video camera roll, and I'm gonna expose you. How you gonna just bring food for one child, and I have 4 kids? His response is, I got 1 kid. I'm bringing food for the 1 kid. Well, he got siblings. Then feed them. I'm bringing McDonald's for my child. Well, how's he gonna eat in front of his siblings? You can either take him in your room, or bring him out to me. Let him eat in the car with me. Let me spend a little time with him. Nope. You got to be more sensitive. You got to think. You sound silly that you're only taking care of your son. You knew when you got with me. Yeah, but I'm not with you anymore. So therefore, why am I taking care of your kids? Where are their fathers? Why are they not bringing their McDonald's to their kids? So, your thoughts real quick on this, gentlemen.
Boy, Darren, he just came out of left field with this one, bro.
ladies and gentlemen, we need to let you know the behind the scenes just for 1 second. Kevin set
got
us
to.
up. Kevin
He
set
did.
us up.
He set us up big time.
Look at the cheese. He set us up. It was a good setup too. It was.
It was.
Because I want your
Hey.
honest reaction. I want your unfiltered,
This is
off the
Mike
top.
Tyson biting the ear of Evander Holyfield, just out of nowhere.
No, this is that Mike Tyson leave me alone flipped over the seat in the plane.
Oh,
Uh,
boom, boom,
uh,
boom. He
uh.
touched him up. He touched him up. Hey, I'll go first. I don't mind. Hey, I'm just gonna be honest. Some people may not like this one. I see where he's coming from. I mean, I do personally. Those aren't his children. He's got one child, and where they dad is at. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't be empathetic and be generous and say, "Hey, let me get food for the other kids." But here's the thing: he doesn't have to. You're not exposing him. He is not required to. He's not required to by law. No, he's not. He shouldn't be required to because of it's just a good thing to do. No, he's not required to do so. So you're not exposing him for doing anything incorrectly. I'm not saying that I wouldn't buy kids, buy some kids. I'm not saying that. But as far as exposing him, no, because he's not required to do so. Yeah, I agree with that, Morris. Yeah, it may not be a good look, but here's the thing: he's not in the wrong
At all.
How? Okay. So let's take it one step further. How is it? How is it a bad look, or how is it even a not good look?
because
He
people
he
because people.
didn't do anything. He didn't do anything to set that up. She somehow felt entitled to expose him for
Hmm.
not going above and beyond in that moment. In
Yeah.
that moment.
In
Right.
that moment, because some people would think, well, where's your empathy? You don't want to buy one even though they're not your kids. So I mean, people may look at it that way, so it may not be a good look from that standpoint. But to be honest,
This is
I'm
the
like,
same
this is
stuff.
not his. It's not his responsibility to do that.
Hmm.
So for me, it's not. It doesn't fall under not a good look for me. It may be for others, but not for me though.
Yeah.
I do want to clarify that. I'm
No, I
no,
get it.
it's not.
I get it. I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate with that because
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what the heck? This to me, this entitled approach to
Hmm.
you know,
Right.
because my thought is if you're doing this to the one, let's say other daddies are in the picture,
Hmm.
And they're doing the
why
same.
wouldn't she be doing the same thing to these others as well? Again, it's
Right.
to me, it's an entitled approach.
Right.
But if I can get on my soapbox and possibly make some folks mad, I don't know. I probably won't. But
Well,
um,
make folks mad on this
It
show.
ain't
I know,
stopped you
right?
To,
before.
to,
I know, right?
that's
I mean, why are you
unusual. We
holding
don't
back
make folks
now?
mad. And I'm gonna tell you. Let me just say this before you say what you're gonna say, Daniel. If you want to see about us making folks mad, stick around. We probably gonna make y'all
Oh,
mad
for
today.
real. Oh,
Stick
for
around.
real.
Oh, boy, it's gonna
So
get lit.
yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. But my whole thing is, men have had to deal with this. This isn't, I get it.
This
It's an
isn't new.
isolated incident, but this isn't new.
No, it's not
It's
new.
like the fact that he even showed up with food. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, he came to spend time with his kid. You won't release the kid because he's not doing for the other kids that he
Right,
didn't have.
right,
Hmm.
But he is there for his kid in this
right.
instant, and and for whatever reason, she feels entitled to treat him that way. And it's like, is anyone ever going to? Now, again, I haven't seen the comments. I don't know. I haven't seen the video for that matter.
Right.
But like, I rarely hear anyone check the woman. Rarely. It's
Hmm.
always, either they come in defense of the guy or they berate the guy. But they never check the woman. Like, honey, where's this attitude coming from? You know.
Eh, I get what you're saying, but I've seen many posts to where they do check her. Not her specifically,
Right.
but others. I'm never is
Well.
a strong word.
Yeah.
Now, majority of the time, yes, you're right. But I have seen some to where they're like, yeah, why she tripping? But it doesn't happen very often.
And again, I don't want to sound completely insensitive.
Wait a
And
minute, what?
that's the second part of
Time
it.
out.
So
What?
that's
You
that's
left
the,
that
that's
part
the
out, Kev.
yeah. Oh, no, because I wanted to get your reaction to that because I was going to come back with okay, and this is what then happened, right? So she's still arguing back and forth with him. He's like, "Look, bring him out to the car, what have you." He gives her the food. Just take the food for my son. Let him eat. She takes the food, throws it on the ground.
Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, my mind's made up on this one.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So
No.
so yes. So yes, she is catching what she thinks she's exposing, but at the end of the day,
Oh
no.
no, she's
She's
exposing
exposing herself.
exactly.
True. True.
She didn't realize her drawers showing. That's what's happening. You know what? Literally, Tarsha just came in with like Salt Bay and just put the extra seasoning on it.
That's my
She
baby.
literally she put the season on it that sent
That's
it over
my
the
baby.
top. But once I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's a wrap. Nah, we're done.
All right.
She
So
threw
I
it
think,
from the ground.
yeah.
Man, see,
Yeah.
I wish she would.
And it looked. I think it looked like it was the high C orange soda too.
Ooh,
from
that's the high
McDonald's?
C, man.
Yeah.
And they just brought it back.
Yeah.
That's the high C, man.
Yeah.
So that's not.
Mm.
Yeah, when it comes to not a good look.
That's disrespectful.
Well, I'm not even right now. My mind is on the kid.
Or now they don't have food. Oh, we don't know if they don't have food, but
Well,
No,
there's
I'm just
speculation
talking about his
because-
son.
Yeah.
Because now, if he finds out Mama threw my food, because that's how he's gonna look at it, my food on the ground because she's mad at Daddy. Who's he going?
who's he gonna be mad? Is he gonna, guess what? He's probably not going to get the truth.
No.
So is that putting him against his dad now?
Mm-hmm. And I can almost guarantee you that's part of what's happening there. It's just my thoughts. So.
Man,
All right.
Ooh, we gotta
How
get
you open up the show with that?
folks healed, man.
But
I don't
listen,
know.
that is
That's
is
lightweight.
just-
That's literally warm up.
lightweight. All right.
That's literally warm up.
So
Hold on, let me go put on my asbestos suit real quick.
listen.
If we start with this kind of fire, good grief.
Strap in. Let's put your seatbelt on. All right. So as we actually got the hint to
Kev even paused before he said something.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Boy, I got way too much sleep. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So as we got the heads up to a few weeks ago, as far as
Yep.
the overturning of Roe versus Wade, that actually came out. Was it Thursday? I think it was.
Yes.
As far as the decision, the decision essentially to nullify the previous ruling of Roe versus Wade. So, since this is the barbershop, since this is Chop It Up, where we have conversations that folks are having in barbershops across the country, there is no way that we could not discuss this issue. All right. So, as host, let me just, I think I speak for all of us, but if I don't, then as far as my initial statement, then we're going to discuss it. Okay. Let me just make it abundantly clear. Okay. If you're going to take a clip from this show, make sure you conclude this clip right here. I am pro-life. Now, I'm about to make a statement that you're probably going to take and run with. And if you know this show, you know that I will make statements sometimes, one, to catch you off guard, but also two, to shake up your theology and shake up the way you think. So let me say it again. First, I am very much pro-life. I am not pro-birth. Oh, I'll explain that in a moment.
See, Kev, there you go, messing up folks already.
Oh, yeah,
bro.
I'm messing with it, right?
You're supposed to ease into that, man. You ain't just supposed to jump in with both feet like that. Why-
No, we going there today. I told y'all.
Kevin picked up a cinder block and threw it through somebody's window right now. Just-
Radio.
he woke up and chose violence.
with his chest. With his chest.
Yes.
Just call me Radio Raheem today. All right.
So Kev,
I want to get to this explanation.
Yes,
there's a whole lot of people, Kev, that don't understand how that's my view. I believe I know where you're going with or coming from with that, so I'll let you explain what that means.
So
But if it is what I believe it is, there's a whole lot of people that you and I both know and know where they go and what they believe that they're like, how can you believe that?
Yep.
And we'll talk about it.
So I am very much pro-life. I am not pro-birth, but I also recognize that people do have the opportunity to make their own choice regarding their body. So my personal convictions for me and my desires for my family, for my children, for my wife are my desires, but they are not legislated. Now, to clarify, when I say I am not pro-birth, here is what I mean. I believe that many people that are saying that they are pro-life, and I'm not, when I say many, I'm not saying the majority. I'm simply saying there's a significant amount of people that say that they are pro-life, but they support the death penalty. So therefore, you are not really pro-life.
Mm-hmm.
You say if you are only concerned with the unborn child, then you are pro-birth. But then what also happens, in my opinion, for many of these folks is that they do not care what happens to the child once they exit the womb. So
Yes.
therefore, when I say I am pro-life from, as we say, from the womb to the tomb. I am pro-life all the way through life. And that includes how I consider the quality of life for an individual and what my desire is for them, no matter what their economic background is, no matter what their race is, no matter what country they come from. I am pro-life, but I am not just going to stop at the fact that that a child is born. I want it to go beyond, and I think that much of what we've seen has been pro-birth only, and could care less what happens to a child after the child is born. So I'll stop there. We'll jump into it, but I want to give you guys the opportunity to jump in your comments, and then I got some receipts. I got receipts.
I don't know if we should even. Should we just give him the platform, let him just run it through?
Okay. All right. All right, y'all. Listen.
Because I do. Yeah. Matter of fact, I would love for you to do that because I want to take it not necessarily a different direction, but I found out some stuff today as to what the motivation of why Roe v. Wade was flipped.
Well, and I also found out some stuff today because it's going to be based on state, and I found out some stuff today, Darren. You may have heard about what the actual Oklahoma law is and what it all entails. About if people report other people and what that means court wise. And I don't think a lot of people understand the ramifications of what that means here in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are many states that are making it extremely dangerous, and the scope of healthcare for women it was already shaky.
Right.
It was already shaky.
Right.
And I mean the gamut. I mean the whole spectrum of healthcare for women was already suspect.
Yeah.
And then to take this unilateral approach just shrinks it even further. So but yeah, I want to hear these receipts because I definitely.
Okay. So let me just start with Christianity today. In the evangelical world,
right?
Christianity Today is the New York Times, if you will. It is the Washington Post. It is the flagship magazine, if you will, of evangelicalism.
It still is.
Well,
anyway,
in 1968, it was.
Okay? Right.
Okay. I think in 1980 it was.
Right.
Well, you're probably right.
Yeah.
So, but going back to 1968, the magazine organized a conference with the Christian Medical Society to discuss the morality of abortion. They attracted 26 huge theologians from throughout the world, the evangelical world, and they debated the matter over several days and then issued this statement. Whether the performance of an induced abortion is sinful, we are not agreed, but about the necessity of it and permissibility of it under certain circumstances, we are in accord.
Okay.
So basically they're saying, we're not saying whether it's a sin or not, we're not agreed on that, but we do recognize that the necessity of it and the permissibility of it under certain circumstances, we're okay with that. Okay? Two following editors of that same magazine took the following statements. One, Carl F. Henry, the magazine's founder, said, "A woman's body is not the domain and property of others." His successor, Harold Lindsell, said, "If there are compelling psychiatric reasons from a Christian point of view, mercy and prudence may favor a therapeutic abortion." All right. Now, you want the CVS of receipts.
Yes.
Okay. Because CVS receipts are deep. They will give you. So, a certain denomination, which now, they've never had the greatest history as far as black people, let me just say that. They've never been considered probably the most progressive denomination.
Well, that narrowed it down.
The Southern
Wait.
Baptist Convention.
Well, I'm like, is he going to say it or not? I mean, we
Yeah.
already know which one it is.
The Southern Baptist Convention. Basically
What year is this, Kev?
1971,
Okay.
1974, and again in 1976.
Okay.
So in 1974, let me get there, or excuse me, 1971, says, therefore be it resolved, and there's other parts in this, but I want to get the
So this is their official resolution.
this is a Southern Baptist Convention resolution on abortion.
So this is the denomination's official resolution. Okay.
Yes. So, whereas Christians in the American society today are faced with the difficult decisions about abortion, and whereas some advocate that there be no abortion legislation, thus making the decision a purely private matter between a woman and her doctor, and whereas others advocate no legal abortion or would permit abortion only if the life of the mother is threatened, therefore be it resolved that this convention express the belief that society has a responsibility to affirm through the laws of the state a high view of the sanctity of life, including fetal life, in order to protect those who cannot protect themselves. And be it further resolved that we call upon Southern Baptists to work for legislation that will allow the possibility of abortion under such conditions as rape, incest, clear evidence of severe fetal deformity, and carefully ascertained evidence of the likelihood of damage to the emotional, mental, and physical health of the mother. So, still acknowledging the sanctity of life, but saying, again, there are some reasons where it may be permissible. It may be okay to happen. All right?
Dare we say necessary?
Right. In 1974, they said, whereas Southern Baptists have historically held a high view of the sanctity of human life, we'll pause on that just because not all human life, but we'll allow their resolution to stand. Okay? Because, they didn't have a high value on black human life, but that's another
Well, you got to be viewed as human.
True. So yeah, so they're still on brand. Okay. And whereas the messengers to the Southern Baptist Convention meeting in St. Louis in 1971 adopted overwhelmingly a resolution on abortion, and whereas the resolution reflected a middle ground between, watch this, the extreme of abortion on demand and the opposite extreme of all abortion as murder, and whereas that resolution dealt responsibly from a Christian perspective with complexities of abortion problems in contemporary society, therefore be it resolved that we reaffirm the resolution on the subject adopted by the messengers to the St. Louis Southern Baptist Convention meeting in 1971. And then it just goes on to say that we continue to seek God's guidance through prayer and study. So the consensus from the Southern Baptists was there may be reasons why it's permissible. I am of the mindset, again, I am pro-life from the womb to the tomb. However, I recognize that there are also also situations which may make it permissible. For example, I don't want the woman who's been raped to have to carry the child of her rapist or her incest partner or whatever it may be, right? Another receipt, all right? When the Roe decision was handed down, W.A. Criswell, pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas and sometime president of the Southern Baptist Convention, issued a statement, watch this, praising the ruling. Says, I have always felt that it was only after a child was born and had a life separate from its mother that it became an individual person. Criswell declared, and it has always therefore seemed to me that what is best for the mother and for the future should be allowed. Okay?
Wow.
When Billy Graham tried to be enlisted in the anti-abortion crusade, Billy Graham turned down the intellectual godfather of the religious right. James Dobson, founder of Focus on the Family,
Hmm.
who, as we know now, is a foe of abortion, acknowledged in 1973 that the Bible was silent on the matter, and therefore it was plausible for an evangelical to believe that a developing embryo or fetus was not regarded as a full human being.
Interesting.
So now we have to ask ourselves,
Interesting.
why has abortion become the evangelical religious right poster?
It's always been my question, Kevin. Nobody can answer for me yet. I really don't have an answer for that. I mean, you all may have an answer for that, but I've been asking that question ever since I've been in college. Ever since I first joined the Christian Coalition when I was at Oral Roberts University, there are some things I'm like, okay, y'all are just. I was in it for like 3 seconds, and I went to one and I bounced out. So I
Luckily
would
for you,
love to hear
Tori,
your
I have
thoughts.
some answers for you.
Well, I'm sure you do. Again, I when I asked it, I've said I'm sure he already has it. I have some guesses, I have some speculations,
Hmm.
but nobody's truly been able to answer that for me. So we'll
So
see.
here's how it comes down. So when the religious right movement started in the early 70s, the religious right movement was basically in response to attempts to essentially take away tax exempt status from whites only universities. So schools like Bob Jones University, which, if I'm correct, is that Falwell.
I believe
So
so.
so the religious right essentially rose out of a desire to keep tax exempt status and still be separate or segregate. Okay. So, and of course, among them was Jerry Falwell, who referred to the civil rights movement as civil wrongs. And he didn't have Bob Jones. He had Falwell University or whatever it was, but he had his own university.
Yeah, I
And
didn't think it
so,
was Bob Jones.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
something. But Bob Jones still is existing. I think
Well,
it still
Bob
has some
Jones
issues.
was the whack that didn't like black people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, the conservative activist Paul Weyrich, and architect of the religious right, began to understand that that defense of racial segregation is not likely to energize evangelical voters, right? So what they did was they effectively flipped the script, and basically decried government intrusion into their affairs as an assault. And then from there, it rolls into religious freedom. And then it rolls into abortion, which had been considered a Catholic issue. Now, during the midterms of 1978, become a the abortion becomes essentially anti-abortion becomes an issue. And so basically, it was now a way to garner all the people that felt that the way that they felt about segregation and felt the way that they felt about losing tax dollars and the government intruding into your life because you didn't like black people. They basically used that to say, well, we need to corral them and we need to get those people into one voting force. And so now let's give them a topic, give them something that they can rally around. And now that topic is abortion.
And it stayed that way, hasn't
It has
changed yet.
stayed that way. It has not changed.
Because and what they emphasize, if you'll notice, even with the propaganda that they use, it's just now. I think the masses are just now understanding the complexity of the issue,
Hmm.
like the various levels, not just the rape and the incest piece, but the literal variations of health issues,
Hmm.
and health procedures that are simply put in that category
Right.
of abortion, but absolutely for the health and life of the mother must be.
Hmm.
Now, if you're just gonna kill everybody, if you just want everybody to die, then keep that stance. But
And you're not pro-life.
right, because why allow a mother to die that can't, number one, can't complete carrying the fetus, and number two, the fetus wasn't going to live anyway.
Hmm.
Or the fetus may already have passed.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
the only way to remove it is by that procedure.
Hmm.
And
You
so
have to.
yeah,
If not, she's going to be septic. She's going to die.
Hmm.
if you take that again, that unilateral approach. But what I was saying before I got off on my little tangent was what they emphasized, though, in all of these years, the thing that they've emphasized is abortion on demand.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Doesn't matter for what it is. Abortion on demand has been, and if you'll notice, if you'll look at the propaganda, that is where they have always stayed,
Mm-hmm.
is right there. They really haven't gone into, because they don't want to get into the quagmire. They're not going to win that argument. So let's stay where we know we can keep a hotbed topic, and separate. Again, we talk about this every once in a while. We come back to this power struggles.
Yeah.
If you want power, then you've got to create an enemy
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
that provokes enough heat, fire, and passion that
Mm-hmm.
everyone rallies, thinking
Yep.
that they're coming to kill our kids, they're coming to take our money, they're coming to burn down our houses.
They're coming
Yep.
to take me away. Oh no,
They're
they're
coming.
coming to take
That's
me
it.
away.
They will not replace us.
Hey. Mm-hmm.
And so that became, that's an extremely passion provoking subject matter on
Right.
on both sides of the table. Still is, will always be. You know, um, yeah. The and we've talked about this. When you
We
start
have.
separating and
We
individualizing, that whole power base, that whole power struggle, that whole power thing just dissipates.
Mm-hmm.
You
and
know,
that's been my conversation for at least 20 years, to where, well, okay, everybody, first of all, can we calm down
Mm-hmm.
and have a discussion and realize just the things that you two have been mentioning? There's one commonality, there's one theme with everything that you two have said already:
Mm-hmm.
extremism,
Mm-hmm.
all or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, God does operate like that in certain things, but not in everything. That is not how we're supposed to. We don't live our life in extremes, because why? It's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go to church at one, but that's Western church. But anyway, I'm not going to sit here and pray 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 365 days a year. It's not sustainable. That's extremism.
oh, then you don't love God for real.
But then you can say whatever you want to. That's between me and God. That's between me and the Father. But this level of extremism, where it's one, or excuse me, yeah, where it's one or the other, it's all or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not life. That's not realistic.
But it's
And
easy.
it's easy to move the masses when
It's
we simplify
easy.
it to as all as not. And no, and I'm not going to say nobody, but there's been many people on both sides. I'm literally trying to have this discussion. No, it's a right for them to have it at any point in time, or it should never be a possibility. I'm like, that doesn't fly with me. It did when I was younger, when I didn't know any better. But as I got older, and then going through pre-med and understanding our body and understanding the
Mm-hmm.
effects of certain things, and since I was going to school to be an OBGYN, that was what I wanted. I started taking these courses, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things. I'm like, okay, yeah, this kind of changes my view at this point,
Right.
because it is not black and white.
No.
Just like Kev, like you said, there are certain circumstances to where it's medically required.
Mm-hmm.
If not, the mother dies.
Right.
That has nothing to do with my belief in God, whether I believe He's going to take care of me. That has nothing to do with that. God gave us common freaking sense. We're supposed to have wisdom, and I understand common sense is a privilege, not a right. I get that, and not everybody operates with that. I get that totally. But for as far as the right, the Christian right, whatever you want to call it, I've had so many people question my belief,
Mm-hmm.
because I am of the mindset that, look, if it's Amy or the kid, you can agree with me or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's my wife,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And
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 And it's not a decision that you're making easily. It's
no,
a
it's
decision.
not.
It's a
No.
decision that
toiling.
It's not a good position to be in. Period.
No, it's not.
But you're making the best decision based upon what's going on.
And dare we say, even if you're put with that choice, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be at the end.
No,
Right.
it's
Right.
not.
So it's like, that's a hard choice to make, but the choice is already made. What the choice you're actually making is, do do I save this woman's life or not? That's
Right.
it.
Right.
That's it.
That's really what it is. Yep.
That's really
what
all it is. Because if it's at the end, there's a whole other stuff going on, and thank God we've improved in the way that we handle the end of pregnancies and
Yes.
those types of situations. But
Yeah.
that stuff early on, yeah, man. There's nothing anyone can do other than save her life or let her go. That's it. And the truth of the matter is, if she's of sane mind and body, outside of the law, I promise you, she's gonna be like, hey, how about we save me? We can try this again later.
Right.
Right? I don't care how many episodes of Grey's Anatomy or New Amsterdam, whatever House, whatever medical show you want to throw out, Chicago PD, Chicago MD, it doesn't matter. Chicago, it doesn't matter. Whatever
There's too many
show,
Chicago shows. First of all, there's too many.
there's a
Chicago
whole lot of
shows.
shit. Well, there used to be a Chicago.
Everything gets shot in Chicago.
And
My
people-
question is, watch literally.
and people,
Literally.
yes,
Every
Literally.
literally.
my bad. Too soon?
But yeah, if we actually looked up how many movies and television shows have been shot in Chicago for the last 5
A
decades,
lot. ER.
Well,
I mean,
Chicago and in Georgia are the two places right
well,
now.
Atlanta, right? Dude, Atlanta, everything's shot in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I look at Miss Marvel, Atlanta. I mean, everything's shot in Atlanta, it feels like. But to get to my
Anyway.
point, then we can move on. These TV shows, no, save the baby, let me go. Psh, please. I haven't met a woman yet that would agree to that. No, if you're of sound mind, baby, we can wait 3 months and we can go at it again. No, you're not leaving. You're not. No.
The only time
save me.
that makes sense, is if the woman already is terminal with something else
I get
and
that.
she wants her legacy on. I can
get
get that. But
I
again,
get that.
that's a decision that she has the ability to make.
Yes.
Alongside, if there is a husband, they can make
Yes.
that decision together. But
Yes.
ultimately, it's her decision on what has to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Man,
They're not choosing save the kid, let me go. No, nobody's doing that, bro. I'm sorry.
Let
Amy
me
would.
also, because we are all believers here, because we all profess Christ, let's also deal
Are we
with this.
believers since I don't pray 365 days a year, constantly 24/7?
Listen, you can come question my faith all you want to. You can come question my beliefs all you want to.
Come at me.
Do
Come
it.
at me.
Do
like,
it.
come get some. Let's go.
Right, listen.
Let's
'Cause
make it happen.
Just because I'm jacking up your theology,
Hey,
so
that ain't my fault.
yeah, they also had 2 kids at home. Yeah, so that's a decision that has to be
It
made.
is. Yeah.
And it should not be made based upon, because I'm gonna get to my point in just a second, but I saw it, I think it was on Twitter or something. I saw essentially a thread or something about a woman that went to the hospital like in the last day or two with an ectopic pregnancy, and the doctor had to hold off to figure out what can I do and what can I not do in this
That's
situation.
dangerous. You know how dangerous
That's how
that is?
dangerous this is right now.
I mean,
Okay.
think about it. A doctor, they have to hold up because that's life or death at that point.
Because the doctor's
cannot.
like, I need to continue, I want to continue my license, but now with this ruling that has just flipped everything upside down, I've got to know, where does this fall? Does this fall as something that
Am I breaking the law or am I not breaking the law? Exactly.
All right. So as believers, one of the things we also have to deal with, and one of the things that I've been watching as far as from other pastors, Christians, believers, what have you, is this conversation of America has repented. We no longer suffer from, we dethroned Molech, which is the spirit demon, what have you, that many ascribe to abortion. We have dethroned that. and America has now gotten over its shame. Let me just make it very clear. You don't unseat demons by passing or repealing laws.
Well, I'm so glad there's some
That
posts that
is
I don't
not
see,
how
bro.
you unseat a demon.
There's a reason why God doesn't allow me to see those posts. That he's fixed the logarithm, so I
You
don't
know
see that
what?
content now.
Listen. Here's the this is why I am very happy to have learned early on not to pay so close attention to church rhetoric.
Where's homegirl with the Gandalf staff? Where's she at? She posting yet?
You will not us.
I'm just saying. I want to know what she said. That's what I want to know. The inquiring minds want to know. I'm sorry for derailing that, but that's the first thing that came to
Oh, what did
mind.
he have? The staff and the sword?
And a robe. Didn't somebody have like a Gandalf
You
robe? I don't
will
remember,
not.
dude, bro.
Oh, she had the staff and the robe. Yes,
Yes.
and had them praying, holding the staff.
Yes.
And those pastors actually agreed to that foolishness. That's what bothered me more than anything. Like, dude, y'all look so uncomfortable, and you went through with it anyway, not
Right.
to embarrass her. I'm embarrassed for you. Like, baby, have a seat. Thank you. We'll
Because yeah,
we'll 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 talk
I'm
about
sorry.
this in private.
I'll embarrass you to save my congregation from receiving that. You come up here with foolishness. That's
Go
why again,
ahead.
I don't let everybody in my pulpit.
You
Period.
can't. You can't.
Man, listen. There was back. This was way back in the day. If Morris is still on it, he may remember this.
Uh-oh.
Uh, uh, it was me, Mookie, and Manuelo. Was it just the three of us? I think it was one more of us. We were getting up to sing,
Uh-oh.
and Pastor Carlton hadn't. Thank you. Pastor Carlton hadn't at the time had not heard us. All right, he didn't know what we were about to do or what we were
Right.
about to say.
Right.
And so he's like, yeah, bring him on. We were literally on program, but he didn't know. So he comes up and he warns us.
I'm
He
just letting you
warns
know.
us,
I'm
like,
just letting you
listen,
know.
brothers, we receive you. We welcome, your contribution. I'm paraphrasing. But
Right.
then he said, but listen, don't don't
Don't
let
come
no
up here with no
foolishness.
mess.
Don't right. Don't let no foolishness get up here. I will take this
Right.
mic from you.
Hey, it'd be like
And then
Apollo.
he
Get that
got out
cane
the
out.
way. He put his hand out and said, "Come on and bless the people."
Hey, you sitting there like this. I don't know if I want to go now or not.
Okay.
Bruh, at this point, I'm just like,
Right?
because at that, especially at that time,
Boy.
that was the Carlton Pearson. So all he got to do
Carlton
is just point, and a lightning bolt's coming.
Right.
You know,
You getting tackled off stage.
right? So I'm just like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, no, I agree with Kevin. Listen, and I've had situations. I've been in situations where I've watched people get checked in the middle of stuff. Like, whoa, and we're stopping you right there.
Mhm.
All right, we're not going any further with that. Thank you for your efforts. There have been situations where it was so bad, folks felt like, okay, we got to pray, we got to do a song, but you having a seat.
Right.
You go on and sit down. All right.
Yeah.
They apologize to the congregation. Check them. Check them. Like, good and well
Mhm.
that ain't from God.
Yep.
Right. You knew that before you
You
even
knew
started.
that before you got up here. That was not from God.
And so
Now we got to
Kev-
work.
No, go ahead,
Or
Darren.
said, then we get Vince get buck wild.
Right. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that type of stuff you have to do. You have
Yeah.
to do. So that anyway, back from Gandalf.
Yeah, but I mean the thought that we have unseated Molech or unseated the demon of abortion, if you will, does not hold
It
when you
doesn't.
look at spiritual warfare, right? Yes, you have prayed for the law to change, but what has happened is that you have tried to legislate morality without impacting the hearts and minds of men, which is or and women. So therefore, we've not done really what we're called to do as believers. The one of the greatest things that I remember from my time at Rhema. We had a teacher in the pastors group, and I think it was Reggie Scarborough. I don't know if you remember him, Tori,
Hmm.
but Reggie Scarborough, he again he took off his mic, so that meant he was about to say something he didn't want filmed or
Recorded.
recorded
Exactly. Yep.
in that class. So he took off
Exactly.
his mic, and he was like, "Look," and this is at the time when. During the 90s, when abortion clinics were being bombed and different things of that nature,
Hmm.
he said, and he challenged us. He's like, "Look, I don't agree with abortion." He's like, "But how much more of a witness would it be? How much more impact could we make in the lives of people if we weren't standing on the outside or the front of the abortion clinic, calling them murderers and calling them all kinds of things? What if, after they made a decision that was very difficult for many of them to make, what if we embraced them on the other side and said, yes, you've done something, but God still loves you. God still cares about you. God still wants the best for you. And now work to disciple those people, those women that came out. Because I don't know, this idea that women just go around having an abortion and just have no mental or emotional or spiritual response to it, I don't find that to be factual. I
It's
think
not
that many
factual.
times
Even
it's
Ashley and I
done
talked about that. It's
right.
not factual.
And I
Yeah.
think many times it's done after much consideration for a number, not saying everyone, right? But it's done after consideration, and it's done with thought based upon, situations, what have you. So rather than condemning, what if we as the church embrace them, yes, after the fact, but would we have more credibility also if maybe we just said, let's just love on people, let's just show people who God is, and let's show forth the goodness of God in that situation?
The other challenge that I see with that is in either approach, in either approach, you still have to have the assumption that the woman thinks she did something wrong.
That's true. That's true.
Hmm.
You have to have that assumption that
Mm-hmm.
she thinks she did something wrong in order to even approach her, whether you're doing the murderer or we're gonna love you afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
They may come out broken. They may come out like, no, this just needs to be done. And can I'm going to
True.
get something to eat. And to me, the challenge, back to everything that we've always said, this thing boils down to the individual approach. We don't want to do relationship. That's the church's problem. We don't want to get to know folks. We don't want to hang with people. We don't want to get involved in their life to the point that they will allow us to. And we don't want to do that in a long term, I'm walking with you till the wheels fall off fashion. We don't want to do that with our church members. And we sure don't want to do that with people in the community.
See,
I can put up
Darren,
with you once a
yeah,
week
For an hour, because if we
for
go
an
an hour and a
hour.
half, then we got
right.
problems.
We got problems. Please don't need me in the middle of the week for anything, much less in the middle of the night in the middle of the week. Okay? Please don't. Other than that, I'm going to see you next Wednesday. I'm going to ask you the proverbial, how are you doing? You're going to tell me everything's great. I'm blessed and highly favored. And then we're going to move on.
See, Darian just said it the nice way. He
Did
said,
I?
yeah, because the way I would said it, is people are lazy.
Hmm.
The reason they take that approach is because they're lazy, because it's so much easier to sit out there and scream, hold a sign, and yell and do whatever and call people names than it is to actually, in what you said, have a relationship with people. That's a lot harder, and it takes you out of your show. It takes you out of your comfort zone. It you have to extend yourself. You have to show
Man,
you have to show love. It's a whole lot easier. And guess what? Screaming the masses, whatever, throwing red paint, that moves the mob.
But it doesn't move the
Love doesn't
individual.
move the mob.
never
Compassion
has.
doesn't move the mob. Empathy doesn't move the mob.
Mm-mm. It,
Showing that type of love and care for anyone, no matter who it is, does not move the masses, does not move the mob, doesn't light the match, doesn't get you on CNN or MSNBC or ABC or CBS, and it doesn't move the needle when it comes to voting.
Mhm.
That's why that is done.
Yep.
because it's so much easier to do that and to push an agenda versus truly
And
caring for people.
that's what we've been talking about. The extreme is easier. It's just
It is.
easier.
I keep
Now,
telling people that, but no, and I'm saying nobody wants to listen, but it's not accepted. Being extreme, one side or the other, is incredibly easier.
It's
yeah.
just easier, you
Yeah.
know. Actually walking with people through whatever,
Or
you know.
can we
It
just
takes
talk about
work.
putting your money where your mouth is? Now, I'm going to give, for example, I'll give a shout out to, she was our pastor for a season, Pastor Debbie of
McIntosh.
Transformation Church now, right? Debbie McIntosh. Very much pro life. Again, this is where I got the phrase from the womb to the tomb. Very much pro life. But she also put her money where her mouth was. And she adopted 3 children that were not her own.
Right.
Okay. Now, many times what you have is folks that say, "Well, abortions, you can do abortion." Okay, how many have you? See, not abortions. You can do adoption. You can do adoption. Okay, how many kids have you adopted? Well, none. Well, how many have you adopted? I got my own kids. How many of you adopted? None. So you're putting up an option that you yourself are not willing
Would
to
never
take.
would never
And,
even consider.
and if we're honest, we look at the systems as far as foster care and adoption, and they are rife with problems as it is. Right?
Oh yeah. Can I be devil's advocate on the whole adoption piece?
Go ahead.
We got to start making adoption more affordable.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of people that would adopt if it didn't cost 20 grand to adopt a kid.
I don't even understand why it costs that much.
I
Who's getting that money?
Well,
It ain't the kid.
No, it's not.
can I throw another wrench in that whole thing too?
What's that?
So, kind of an adjacent subject, right? You have kids that are in foster care, right? Kids that are awarded to the state, right? So many times, or not many times, but sometimes the reason that the child is in foster care is because the government has determined that the parent is not financially able to take care of the child.
Right.
But they would take that child out of that home where they are seeing
Instead
that
of
there's a financial
supplementing the
deficit.
parent, right?
Put them into a foster care system
And
and
supplement
pay
them.
somebody else to take care of the kids. That makes no sense in the world.
No sense whatsoever. None. It's broken. And I've told people that.
My wife, listen, my wife also brought up, yes, we don't have enough time for this topic, but now the things that are coming out is that now they are after potentially birth control and saying that that's not a right. You can have that. There is also now for, same-sex marriage, same-sex relationships are potentially on the table. And then one senator put out, let's look at Plessy versus Ferguson and Brown versus Board of Education.
I thought he was being facetious, but maybe I missed the whole thing.
He might have been, but
Like he was.
Say that last part again?
I thought he
was
was being
just-
facetious.
yeah.
Like I thought he was using that as an example of this is an extreme. So since we're going to be in extremes, let's go ahead and just undo all the progress that we've had. Now maybe I missed the statement and he was actually being serious, which if
Oh,
he
so he was being
was,
sarcastic.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping, but it's dangerous to do it that way. Very dangerous to do it that way. So I may be wrong. But before we run out, we've got to talk about.
He's a Republican senator from Texas, so you tell me how facetious he might have been.
Ooh.
You tell me.
I don't know.
Listen.
Yeah.
Listen.
John
Here's the
Cornyn,
thing.
you tell me.
Hold on. Let's just go with, just for a second. Let's just play with that for just 1 second, okay? And I just want to play with the sports of schools for just 1 second, okay? Just a microcosm of what goes on in there. If they undo Brown versus Board of Education, now hold on. The gazillions of dollars that run through universities
Gazillions is right.
to come watch these little brown and black babies do what they do. Now, if you really want to undo that, are you sure you want? Because I'm not. Again, I'm just looking at the financial impact.
Because Puffy did just drop $1 million on Jackson State and Howard.
They don't listen. That is they don't play with that.
So
Don't play with that. Some folks are like some brown and black are like, oh yes,
yeah,
circle the wagon. Let's get this thing together. They don't want to play with that.
yeah.
They don't. Yeah, I'm hoping he was being. I don't know what he was being. I need to go look at that.
Listen,
The financial impact of them trying to undo the where we are is just that no one is taking that into consideration because
No,
some of the
not
stuff they're
even
saying is
close.
just dumb.
Not
But before we run out of time, we got to talk about the why behind the push because I just read that CVS and Rite Aid are
uh-huh.
limiting emergency contraceptives now.
hmm
They
Whoa,
want
wait a
to
minute. Limiting?
hmm
yes, they want to limit the Plan B pill.
hmm
I thought it was the opposite for CVS.
No, they want to limit it now.
Where did
There
I
is
see
a
that?
full blown agenda going on, and can we please talk about why?
Go ahead.
Good.
In a nutshell, have either of you seen or read the book the Birth Dearth?
No, I have not.
Darian, you my brother.
This is why I don't. This is why I don't subscribe to listening to only. I listen to church folks just to hear what they're saying. Okay, and when that's your whole world, and you don't really know why an agenda is coming forth. Roe versus Wade. I am now convinced Roe versus Wade is in an attempt to slow down the browning of America. They're not going to be able to stop it, but they can at least try to slow it
No,
down. Mm.
no, not America. No,
Uh,
no, that's
not
no,
America.
Darian. No, that's too far.
Am I being extreme? No, I'm not.
No, not
Unfortunately,
that. No.
yeah. But this is the first thing. Matter of fact, the first thing that I read was the 2020 census is the first time that they saw that the birth rate of Caucasians is actually has turned down.
hmm
Um, instead of growing, it's actually regressed for the
Well,
first time.
there's a
So,
reason for that.
well, yeah. The other thing that I found out was 60% of all abortions is by the Caucasian race.
Yeah, because
hmm
we be having our kids.
So, if that's the case, and then you've got the white race diminishing, you've got black and brown growing, brown more than anyone, because just culturally,
hmm
religiously,
hmm
and even economically, that's just not how they think.
Well,
You don't get rid of kids.
Right.
here's another thing that people don't think about, Darren. When it comes, Darren, when you're talking about that birth rate and Caucasian number of Caucasians going down, and call it what you will, people of color going up. A lot of people don't know this and understand this, but I don't know if it's changed since Ashley was born. But back then, if the father was black and the mother was white, the kid was listed as black.
Hmm.
It's still that way.
Then, if the mother was black and the father was listed as white, the kid was listed as black.
Hmm.
So there, that very well may skew the number. And so here's another thing.
That's the
we
one drop
there's a
rule.
say it again.
The one drop rule.
The one drop rule,
If you
exactly. And
got a drop
so we're
color in
seeing
you,
we're seeing a lot of that, and that most likely is contributing to those numbers, and people are scared, like, oh, this is the flag is red, white, and blue, not red, brown, and blue. So no,
I
it's
want
making
my
people
country back.
right.
I
It's
want it
freaking
back.
people out, and um,
Listen,
I will say this. And this may be an unpopular opinion. I know we're right at time. I, I don't expect this to be the end of the world,
Mm-mm.
because I think there's still a whole lot of smart people out there that know and understand what's trying to happen.
Mhm.
And I think Morris put that in there, that this very well may be a bigger um, win for the quote unquote left and what they believe.
Mhm.
Because here's the thing: as Christians, and the whole thing of you saying that, hey, we've slain the demon, it's still left up to the states. People, America hasn't repented for anything, because guess what? It's left up to the states.
Mhm.
The states are going to decide. And here's the other thing that's going to mess a whole lot of people up. That's the way Trump believed the whole time. Trump has never been pro-choice. I mean, excuse me, pro-life. He's always said, we don't need to make that decision for him, and we let the states decide. The government, the federal government doesn't need to. And there's a lot of people you and I know that don't believe that, but they still voted for him anyway because it was the pro-life party.
Mhm.
And they still voted for a person that did not support pro-life. He
Mhm.
left it up to the states. That's going to mess a whole lot of people up too. So,
Well, what's been interesting, and a couple of things real quick. One, the fact that they're here in Arizona. Our governor's Governor Ducey. So there was a tweet that went out, I think Friday, where someone said, in response to Governor Ducey saying something about abortion and the reversal of Roe versus Wade, there was someone that said, "Let's talk about how your son took me to get a Plan B afterwards. Let's talk about that." And then someone else, yeah. Oh, it gets better. Because then someone else said, "Hey, Ivanka, your girlfriends are talking about how they drove you to get one." So we'll
Wait,
leave that. But
we
then,
know Trump. What you were saying? Go ahead.
so
I'm sorry.
the other thing,
there you go again, Darren, using common sense. How
listen,
dare you? How
Like
dare you?
that came out during the campaign,
hmm
and for whatever reason, all that stuff kept getting swept under. Oh yeah, well that was the past.
Oh no, no, it wasn't that it was something on the
He,
run. They called it lies. They said that was just propaganda
yeah.
and lies to get people to turn
dude,
against him.
they had literal paperwork and receipts.
They don't care. They don't. You think really? You think that really matters for some people, Darian?
Well, I know that because they
This is
wanted him so bad. It
this
didn't
is the
matter.
same
Exactly.
group that denied a birth certificate from a president
Right.
that
We
they
want the
forced him
long
to bring.
form.
Right. We
His
we
real
want
name is Hussein. Shut
we
up.
want the video footage of
Right?
it. Right. So here's the other thing. I'm just we're over time, but it's fine. We'll go over a little just because I think we need to cut. This definitely needs to be talked about. But one of the things I want to kind of just ask is, I've searched the scriptures. I read the Bible through a few times. I've read it through a few times in my life as a believer. So question my life as a believer. Go right ahead, do that. But I seem to keep missing the part where Jesus stormed up into Caesar's palace and began to advise him to change the laws, because it's not like the Roman Empire. It's not like that was the most godly place there was. So I can't recall where Jesus kind of had a conversation with Caesar about changing laws. I think Jesus was more concerned with, can I talk to you and change your heart? Can I meet with the woman who's at the well, who I know she's having an affair. I know that she's done that, but I'm going to talk to her and offer her living water, and not go to the publican of the village that she's from and say, you need to outlaw this woman sleeping around. Am I missing something in the scriptures? Did I miss that part? Or
You mean
Right. Like,
there's no scripture of an insurrection in the Bible by Jesus?
wait,
Bible?
there's no scripture of Jesus even having a conversation with Pontius Pilate prior to
No, not even close.
him being brought before him at the bequest of the high priest.
The
and
Like,
only
in other
laws,
words, like,
the only laws that he criticized were the 700 something plus laws that the Pharisees and Sadducees kept
in
writing
the temple,
to make people to jump through so they couldn't be holy like them. Those are the
and,
ones that he criticized.
and let me make it clear. Let me make it abundantly clear. It is not because Jesus was afraid.
oh
It is
no,
not because Jesus
Oh no.
was I can only talk to y'all and I ain't gonna talk to the government. It's not because of that. It's because if we understand our belief system, if we understand the theology that we claim to have, Jesus came to help do away with the law because he's the fulfillment of the law. Because, and I think it's Romans, I forget where it is, but basically the law, what? Kills, right? You're not under the curse of the law. So Jesus is saying, look, I'm coming because I need to change your heart because the law couldn't do it. So to say that we've done away with it and the nation has repented and America security as God's country on the earth, it's not true.
We're not the children of Israel, people. This
We're
is
not.
not the nation
Sorry.
of Israel. This
Not.
is we live
Well, they
in,
definitely aren't.
we live in, and Darren, I said this the other side. We live in a country to where it's a democracy. I'm not saying a Democrat. I'm not saying Democrat, but we're in a democracy where we vote. But the kingdom of God is not a democracy. It's led by God, inspired by God. So it's a theocracy. So those two things are separate. We still live here, and God said, "Hey," He said, "abide by the rules." I mean, don't do something stupid. But we're trying to put the two together, but that's not what Jesus did.
And this is not a Christian nation. I'm sorry, let me mess with your Americanism.
Oh no, you're exactly right.
This has never been, from its founding, a Christian nation.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean they didn't come here to discover a new nation so they can worship God freely? That's not why it happened, Kev? Is that what you're saying?
Not at all. In
Are
fact,
you
if you
sure
study
about that?
a lot of the founding fathers were more humanist than Christian. But, God bless America.
But you just peed in somebody's Cheerios right now.
I sure
You know that,
did.
right?
I sure did.
My bad. Was that vulgar?
And it was dehydrated. It wasn't full of water.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm on one today. I know.
Oh, just bright orange.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
he went there, y'all. It is what it is.
The brother ain't drink water for days.
Days,
Just so I
man.
could do that. Yep.
Days.
Oh,
Days.
we about to get censored.
Oh man.
That's right, Morris. Golden brown.
He said gold, black gold, Texas tea. I mean, that junk. Woo.
Oh yes.
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 That's your husband. He my brother, though. But that's your husband.
Point made.
Yes.
Hey, well,
Point made.
All right. So, look, yeah, we are over time. We'll probably next week we'll have to, because there's another ruling that we have to discuss, which is the prayer in school one that we want to discuss. I'm just saying, I'm going to leave it at this, and we'll talk about it next week, and then we'll close out. I'm just saying, I'm waiting for the first Muslim to start lead somebody in prayer. I'm waiting for the first Buddhist to lead somebody in prayer.
A school system already had that, to where they had somebody, the Satan is bringing in and material and dropping off pamphlets. So, y'all, you do realize that
it works both
we're
ways.
not the only one out there. Y'all do realize that, right?
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
All right, listen, that's it for this time. We'll let you all go because, we could probably go a little more time with it. But have a great one. We'll see you next time. Be blessed.
Y'all be good.